On your screen is a selection of photos with the general title "A Second Before." And it's not hard to guess what will happen after this second. The photographs leave a lasting impression and are not for the faint of heart. So let's get started. Here are Soviet citizens guarded by German soldiers at Kovel Station before being sent to Germany 1942. Long live the Communist Party and the partisans. Fight, people, for your freedom. Do not surrender to the villains. Let them kill me, but those who remain will avenge. These words were spoken by Lepo Radic right before the end. On February 8, 1943, Lepo Radic, a Yugoslav partisan and participant of the People's Liberation Struggle in Yugoslavia, was captured while leading a group of refugees from occupied territory. There were about 150 people in this group, mostly women, old people and children. Armed units of the Croatian punitive forces appeared on its way. Lepe used up all her ammunition and was captured. After 3 days of cruel torture, she was sentenced to hanging. The Nazis offered to spare her life if she handed over the partisans from among the refugees. However, 17-year-old Radic refused to do this. Here are American B-25 Mitchell bombers against the backdrop of the erupting Mount Vesuvius. In March 1944, Mount Vesuvius erupted in Italy. The eruption resulted in the destruction of several villages and the death of 57 people. Not far from this place, at the Pompeii airfield, the bombers of the 340th Group of the US Bomber Aviation were based. This was the last eruption of this volcano in the 20th and so far in 21st century. Here we can see residents of the Warsaw Ghetto before execution. Murders in the ghetto took place every day. The old and infirm, children and women were killed. The inhabitants of the Warsaw Ghetto rose up in revolt. From April 19th to May 16, 1943, fierce fighting took place in the streets of the ghetto. The Germans brought Jewish units into the ghetto and, cutting off block by block, brutally suppressed the resistance. In total, more than 7,000 rebels were killed. Here is a photo of an execution of a Yugoslav partisan. It captured the moment before the death of the Soviet partisans. The boy is Viktor Sherbachevich, 16-year-old. The girl is Maria Bruskina, 17 years old, and the man is Kirill Ivanovich Kovart, a worker. The poster reads, "We are partisans who shot at the German troops." Here's an American medic, Harvey White, giving a blood transfusion to a soldier wounded by shrapnel. Sicily, July 1943. In July 1943, at the height of Battle of Kursk, the Allied Anglo-American coalition undertook, on a whole, a successful landing on the island of Sicily. The island was defended by 300,000 Italian and 40,000 German soldiers. The Allies transferred here 13 divisions, 3 tank brigades, 3 commandos detachment and 3 Rangers battalions, with a total number of 600,000 people with 600 tanks. In addition to the landing from the sea, an air landing was also undertaken. However, an odd thing happened here. Firstly, the British ships, apparently not warned in advance, opened fire on their own C-47 transport aircraft. As a result, more than 60 aircraft were damaged by friendly fire, and 318 people were killed. In addition, as a result of strong winds, a significant part of the airborne troops were carried out to the sea. Be that as it may, in general, the operation to capture Sicily was quite successful, taking into account the fact that a significant part of the German-Italian troops were evacuated to the mainland, to Italy. 140,000 Italians surrendered, not wanting to fight for Mussolini and his German ally. Here are residents of the Sudetenland greeting Hitler, while one woman is crying bitterly, either from joy or from grief, we will never know. As a result of the Munich Agreement of September 30, 1938, the Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia was to be ceded to Germany. Many Germans lived in the Sudetes. However, the Czechs were also there, and they clearly did not want to come under the rule of Hitler's Germany. In a moment, this man's life will be cut short. Here the French watched German troops entering Paris, June 14, 1940. After the defeat of the Allied Anglo-French troops in the hasty evacuation from Dunkirk, in the Paris region no one offered resistance to the Germans. France capitulated. The only part that raised the cry "citizens to arms" was the Communist Party. But the rulers of France feared the Communists more than the Germans. Fearing a repeat of the situation of 1871 when the Communard Socialists came to power in Paris, the French authorities were inactive and did not intend to defend Paris, declaring it an open city. And on June 22, 1940, the French government signed a surrender of their nation to Germany. Under the terms of capitulation, the north and west of France, including Paris, were occupied by German troops, and in the south of France there was a collaborationist government based in the city of Vichy, led by Marshal Pétain. Paris was liberated by Allied forces on August 25, 1944. Here is the execution of Zoya Kosmedemyanskaya. She was the first woman to be awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. Zoya was thrown behind German lines in 1941, where she was later captured. According to an eyewitness, they led her by the arms all the way to the gallows. She walked straight, with her head raised, silently and proudly. They brought her to the gallows and ordered to widen the circle around her and began to photograph her. She shouted, "Citizens! Don't stand there, don't look, but we need to help fight. This death of mine is my achievement." Zoya's last words were, "Our comrades will avenge me." Here is the photo taken just before the execution of Chinese partisan Chen Benoit. What kind of death awaited the prisoner depended only on the degree of the fanaticism of the Japanese soldier and their sick imagination. Moreover, even before the execution, the prisoner faced long, painful, and inhumane torture. Therefore, the captured partisan together with Chen Benoit may have gone through several circles of hell. Chen Benoit, as a girl and the only one of the captives, was also brutally raped. Chen Benoit was the last one left alive from the group. Trying to break her resistance and force her to provide the necessary information, the Japanese forced the girl to watch the execution of her comrades. If you look at the photo, it seems that there is absolutely nothing scary or creepy. In the foreground is a young girl. She openly and sincerely smiles directly at the camera. Cheng Benoit's hands are folded on her chest, and in general it seems that everyone captured in the photo is happy and enjoying life. There are 4 Japanese soldiers behind the girl. They also smile widely, and one with glasses even laughs. After the photographer gave a sign that everything was over, the soldier standing behind the girl got down to business. Cheng Benoit died from bayonets and beatings. According to surviving testimonies, the happy Japanese soldiers did not even want to simply and quickly stab the partisan with bayonets. For at least a few of the longest minutes of her life, Cheng Benoit was in inhumane agony as she bled to death. No one will ever know what she felt at that moment. Just as no one will know what her executioners felt and thought. Here the fascists are testing the strength of the gallows. Here is a Japanese soldier preparing to cut off the head of a Chinese soldier in Nanjing. Here German soldiers search Polish prisoners, 1939. On September 1, 1939, the Wehrmacht began implementing the WWII plan, the invasion of Poland. This was preceded by an SD special operation called Canned Goods. This is how the Germans cynically called the bodies of prisoners killed in prison, who were staged to be German soldiers allegedly killed by Polish saboteurs. Operation Canned Goods was personally led by Heinrich Müller. Having provided itself with a smoke propaganda screen, Hitler's Germany launched an invasion of Poland and unleashed the Second World War. On the Kola Peninsula, searchers found the remains of 2 Red Army soldiers. It turned out that they belonged to the fighters depicted on this photo. These photographs of the execution of Soviet soldiers were taken in 1941. We found a description in one of the memoirs. It was the end of June 1941. The Germans had just crossed the border on this section of the front. They captured Height 122. At night, German mountain riflemen stormed the heights. The resistance of the Red Army soldiers was fierce. The Germans shot the surviving soldiers. By order of the commander, one of the mountain riflemen filmed what was happening, and the other kept a record. And here it happened not a second before, but just right after. These are Chinese women raped by Japanese soldiers when the Japanese attacked the Chinese city of Nanjing in 1937. Here is a public execution of German war criminals. The year is 1946. According to an eyewitness, barrier, the bayonet on the shooter's rifle glints. Thousands of eyes are fixed only on them. The whole contemplates them in eerie silence. I am sitting and looking at them. They are 10 meters away. From such a distance they probably shot their victims. Their victims are my brothers and sisters, my fellow citizens. People spat in their faces with proud hatred. Or perhaps they cried, saying goodbye to their beloved, brutally cut short lives. After all, these 15 are not just murderers. They are only 15 grains of sand from a giant fascist tornado. The year is 1942. The Japanese use captured Indian people as target practice. Here are Jewish women before execution in Skid, Latvia, December 15th-17th, 1941. Here are detachments of the Soviet traitor Krasnov, who supported the Nazis, cut down defenseless Soviet prisoners with sabers. Escorting a German pilot shot down at Stalingrad. The size of a pilot is impressive. Wehrmacht mountain rangers are preparing to shoot hostages on the street of the Yugoslav city of Celje. A Greek mountain artillery division fires at Italian positions, winter 1940-1941. Mussolini and his staff miscalculated. Not only did they fail to defeat the Greek army, but the Italians themselves were defeated. The Greeks pushed the Italian army back into Albania and were ready to go on the offensive. However, Germany and its ally Bulgaria intervened in order to save the prestige of the Italian ally and prevent the stationing of British troops and navy in Greece. In April 1941, the troops of Nazi Germany invaded Greece and by June, together with Bulgaria and Italy, occupied the entire territory of the country. On March 6, 1933, the fascist dictatorship was finally established in the country, so to say legally, and an unbridled fascist boom began in Germany. The propaganda machine of Hitler's ironically called People's Government was launched at full power. Newspapers, magazines, and radio trumpeted the coming prosperity and power of Germany. Nazi leaders made chauvinistic pogrom speeches at rallies of thousands. A significant part of the Germans, and above all the middle class, traders, small entrepreneurs, office workers, and a considerable number of other workers, fell for this bait and allowed themselves to be used by fascism. In the meantime, all those who disagreed with the new policy were arrested. In the photo, arrested political opponents of Nazism stand against a wall in the basement of the SA office on Heidemannsstrasse in Berlin, 10th of March 1933. Here's a war criminal Winzel Shuttle listening to the words of a priest in Landsberg prison before his execution. And here are Soviet prisoners before being shot. Write in the comments which photo impressed you the most. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We recommend watching the following videos.